Hi there folks, Sam here at DSM, and today we're going to talk about Respites and Draw Steel. So I've been running the game now for 5 months, I think, nearly 20 sessions, and in that time we've experienced 2 Respites. And the reason I'm doing Respites is because a Respite's defined as 24 hours of downtime. We've had one that was 3 months and one that was a single day. So big swing there. We're about to have one that lasts 2 weeks. And as I was sitting getting ready to prepare for that, I realised that now I kind of experience, small, medium, large respites, I had a bit of perspective on what to say about them. So taking us way back, we had our first couple of sessions, which coincided with the Lilac Night, which is an event in Capital, which is one of the settings of Draw Steel. And that resulted in a lot of revenants being created, including 3 of our players, characters. And Lady Valletta, who's in charge of this district, is kind of responsible for that. So, in their first downtime, my logic was this big event's happened, loads of people have died and came back. The city's going to be freaking out, at least for 3 months. So, before I really understood respites, I said, yeah, we'll have 3 months respite, that's fine. And then I realised it's a day, so suddenly they've got 90 respites. And again, kind of getting overexcited and leaping into it, I took one of the players aside and said, okay, here's a bunch of projects and crafting and research. And they were like, I want to make this armour. So we jumped straight in. And I think they'd all got a renown out of the first session. So he was able to attract a follower. So he attracted a sage who helped him. An artisan who helped him with the crafting. So that meant he was rolling twice as fast and had pretty much unlimited days. So he just blazed through his progress towards making this armour. Now there are random events that can happen at certain points of progress or certain point limits in the crafting. And I read them, I rolled to see what would happen, but I was like, yeah, someone drops by, you kind of, this happens for a day, kind of just using it as flavour, not the kind of thing I'd normally go into. And sure enough, he finishes it and goes on to his next project. The next player I was working with wanted to make some boots. We did that. Again, similar thing. They had a retainer, blasted through that. They made a wand, blasted through that. And then our Shadow, who's one of these revenants, decides they want to find a cure for being a revenant. And there wasn't a find a cure project at that time, so I decided they would use the Forbidden Lore project. And I said, once this is done, that'll reveal whether it's possible, and then you'll have to do some further research to sort of enact a cure. So they start rolling for this, and I'm looking over the events again. I think I might have rolled once or twice, and then the third time it said it was like a benefactor shows up and offers to finish your research for you, but you have to do them a favour. And knowing the setting, I was like, well, it would make sense if Lady Valletta feels a little bit of guilt, or at least sees opportunity in helping to solve the Revenant problem, if indeed it is a problem. And why would she not send someone to sort this out? But what would she get out of it? She could have the players come to her for a meeting. And why would she want to do that? Well, they were involved in things going on the Lilac Night. She wants to know more about why her ritual went wrong. Dinner it is. And that was when it clicked for me with events. The events are like a break or a pause or breath. So you may have 90 days, and I don't think I'll ever give them 90 days ever again, but if you get 90 days, you might have loads of days missing out of that because they're distracted by some event. If they're invited to dinner, that's suddenly a day where they have to do a montage to put together their outfits and get there. Then they have to do a negotiation, they might have to fight people on the way out. That's a whole day gone. And the beauty of it is that can't happen on a 1-day respite, but when your players are spending a lot of time, they're not guaranteed those 90 days or those 2 weeks, because if an event comes up, it happens, and they're going to have to deal with it. So with that in mind, I'm looking forward to these next 2 weeks. And I was thinking, well, they've got 2 weeks, and I've said to them to let me know. They basically have this because they know in 2 weeks' time there's going to be an assassination attempt, and they need to get there and try and stop that. Or maybe they'll try and talk to someone else about it and leave it to them. But things happen in 2 weeks. And I said, well, whatever you want to do in that time isn't in my adventure, because that's the next part of the adventure. So we'll have some downtime, but that downtime can both include respite days where you do projects and days where you actually go do something. So they want to go to the acting school, which is a spy college basically. One player has a sort of personal reason for going, and another has a main plot reason. I guess they all have the main plot reason. And I said, well, okay, that's great. If that's where you want to go, I'll write that up. That's going to be like probably a day. And someone said, oh, I want to do this project. It's like, great, that's another day. And then I came away from it and started thinking, well, what do I want to get out of this respite in this time? Because just because the player knows something happens in 2 weeks doesn't mean time stands still. And it doesn't mean I should eat up their time, and I'll leave spaces for if they want to go visit Lady Valletta again. But if they don't, I want Lady Valletta to make an appearance again. So I'm going to put in a little day and say, on this day, this happens. So not only will they roll for events on any crafting projects they're doing and take days out to go do stuff, as a director, I have the power to inject a day where something happens. And this might not be revolutionary, but with this system, which again I'm about to use for the third time, I've done lots of different things with it. And yes, it started getting a grip with the rules, but as I've done more of them, I'm starting to see the potential in them. Because it's all grand to say players should have ambition, they'll spend their downtime doing projects and they'll create these ideas for themselves, blah, blah, blah. It's like having, they're called like spectator players and, active players. Active players are going to want to milk every bit of time out of that and go, I can do this and this and this. And they do have personal goals. But some players just want to hang out and play D&D. And they will occasionally shift into being active players and they'll go, oh, I want this to happen. I want to go here. But other times they're quite happy to just sit back, and 2 weeks, 90 days is way too long for them. But if stuff happens to them, they're quite happy. So things like events if they're on a project, or DM days, or director days, where I choose something to happen, gives them more story and gives them things to bounce off of, and just creates a better narrative overall. Because we've all played D&D, and by and large my experience of D&D has just been bouncing from adventure to adventure, and quite often they end up going at breakneck speed, and the players want those days, like those fireside chats. I've never once wrote in my adventure plan fireside chat, but I know the players want them because they like those little RP moments. And obviously a respite just gives a breath for that to happen. But now it's happening alongside things that can spark conversations. Oh, hey, we both want to work on this piece of armour, or we both want to find out this information. How can we work together? And that's basically, I came to the end of my theory, or my idea, which is just this understanding of how respites are more than just a break from the story, they're driving forward the rest of the story. When do you use respites? In my experience, when the players want them, apart from the first time. So I guess when you need them or the players need them, you can put them in the story, but the players don't have to use them. That first 3 months was different. It was right out of the first adventure. It was mandatory. But ever since, it's been player triggered. So they wouldn't, before they went to this party they were at 2 sessions ago, they were like, we need a day to recover because we're so low on recoveries. And that's the natural sort of cycle of the game cutting in. But right now, they've got all their victories. They don't need another respite. But they know they have the time because of the events of the campaign. Nothing dramatic. And the understanding is nothing dramatic is going to happen in the next 2 weeks. We could spend those 2 weeks going around, getting victories, trying to get XP and so on. But that's not how stories work. You don't want your players thinking that way. It's like the whole, an authentic wizard school in D&D would just be everyone go kill some goblins because that's how you get experience and level up. Doesn't make sense. Yes, they could go around, get more victories and get more XP, but they're also going to lose recoveries. It's like one of each. The DM 90 days, the players 1 day, and now I'm giving them the opportunity for 2 weeks and they're seizing it. But hopefully that's given everyone an idea of how they can use respites, but also when to use them, which I feel like is a lot of the conversation I'm seeing happen in the community right now, which is great we have all these building blocks, but I don't know how to use them. And as someone who's been, jamming pieces into the jigsaw for 5 months, I like to try and share just little bits of what I've learned. So if you enjoyed this video, Give us a like, subscribe, follow, hit the bell, all that good stuff. And until next time, cheers.